fucking wild. Okay, but Twitter mess notwithstanding, or I don't know. I guess it is Twitter mess in a way.
Well, it's sort of because it spread through Twitter. It didn't necessarily originate from there. I think it originated from like a Swedish gaming news site or
And
something.
USA Today, oddly enough, and I still don't know the particulars of how that works, but USA Today had to issue a correction because I believe the way it works is they have some sort of deal with certain sites that sort of, I guess, publish or post things within some sort of USA Today ecosystem. And this Swedish gaming site, sort of apropos of nothing, just dropped out there. Amazon is acquiring Electronic Arts. It's being announced today, pretty much. And then all of the different feeders and people who are, eyes on for not just EA, but just acquisitions, because acquisitions have been kind of a frequent thing, it feels like. Embracer Group and everyone else buying up everything. So the news just spread like wildfire. Like I try not to look at Twitter often, but like, my friends were texting me about it and going,
Mine did too.
And I go, God damn it, I'm busy. I got a job. I got work. And I go, let me fucking log into Twitter to see what the hell's going on. And people were losing their shit.
Yeah, my story is like, so I happened to wake up really early. It was like 6 something in the morning, and I'm groggily checking my phone, and I'm like, all right, let's see what Twitter's about. And that was like the first thing I see, and I go, oh, fuck off. Oh man, why is this the thing I have to now I have to go because I do the whole channel thing. I go post it to Discord and be like, oh God, what's this about? Have to, if you will, work early in the morning. But yeah, and like everyone's freaking, and like it wasn't even like 30 minutes later, and then because good old Geoff Jet Knightley, he also tweeted about it. And so that's how a lot of people saw it. And then he also issued a correction, which on the side note was kind of weird because he like tweeted that like the deal was happening, and then a reply to that tweet was that it wasn't happening. But then he deleted the tweet where he said it wasn't happening. So like a lot of people were very confused, like, oh, did you delete the tweet because now that's not real and it is happening? What? And then like a clip that was posting around was, I think it was MSNBC. I forget, but where 2 stock analytics guys were just making fun of everyone that thought this was real.
Yeah. Which was actually kind of refreshing because, typically speaking, those people who are in those positions are not going to get scooped by a smaller, so like acquisitions, especially, like it's one thing if it's a development around a video game. I can see a Jason Schreier or someone like that speaking to a developer where the news, the thing that is starting the news is happening in the rooms that the developers are in. I can see how a smaller source, not saying Schreier is small, he's huge at this point, but someone with direct sources could scoop like the finance reporters. But in acquisition, that unfolds from the top.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that the finance, I could be wrong one day, but I immediately, when I saw that clip from MSNBC, I was like, yeah, the finance reporter who has the sources that are closer to the like executive leadership side of things, this guy's probably right. And so I kind of knew that as soon as I saw that clip.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so I guess because the sad part is that like the tweets and stuff about it happening got way more attention to the stuff that it wasn't happening. So there might be someone out there listening that still thinks that the deal is on. The deal is off. And now I guess another conversation is like, how likely is EA to be bought by someone? I do know like it is credible, and I think it even said it in the MSNBC article or a video maybe, where there was a talks with Microsoft would buy EA, but that fell through. So somebody could still buy EA. I guess I this is a world that is beyond me, so I don't know why you buy EA or why EA wants to be bought or what the fuck is going on.
I think so. Okay. So first of all, you're 100% correct. I think all of the evidence out there now suggests that this idea that Amazon was going to buy EA, like, and it was going to be happening this week. I don't think that was ever going to happen.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, I think there is pretty well corroborated evidence that Microsoft was showing interest and that there were discussions and that it was a matter of, basically the price or the terms of the agreement that couldn't be agreed upon, and that EA wanted to do it and Microsoft wanted to do it, but they couldn't come to terms. I feel like that's real. So it's out there and they may continue to negotiate and something might happen. And then kind of in between those two levels of realness or whatever you want to say, there was a rumor a few weeks ago that Microsoft, Amazon, Disney, and Apple were all interested in EA. I think that is also still kind of in the category of rumor. And maybe pieces of that, like Microsoft, are true, but pieces like the Amazon aren't. Or maybe, maybe this rumor happened because Amazon and EA were actually in talks, et cetera, et cetera. But it certainly seems like EA is open to being acquired. And quite honestly, if they're open to being acquired by one company, they're probably open to being acquired by any company that pays the right price, right? So,
yeah. Now just hoping if they do get bought out, it's not by a company that's going to just do bad things.
Yeah. So, okay. So, like, this is not the topic we're going to talk about. We have another, main topic for this episode, but just a little bit more on this topic. I think there is a difference. Like, I'm not pro any of these companies. Like, I'm not here to show for Microsoft versus Apple or Amazon or any of them, but I couldn't help but notice that I had a reaction to the fact that it was Amazon specifically. Because just me personally, I don't particularly think of Amazon as being the most ethical or reputable company in a lot of. I like fast shipping. How about that? That's what I like about Amazon. Yeah. Other than that, I don't really like Amazon. And Amazon, for people who don't know, they have two things. They have AWS services, which half the internet probably runs on AWS services, which is like distributed server capacity that you buy for your website rather than hosting it yourself or using some other type of host, so that you always have, your servers don't get overloaded. You have as much server capacity for traffic as you need, and it's dynamic. Great idea, great service, works fantastic. Half the goddamn internet uses that now. The other thing they have that a lot of people don't know is they have a game engine. That they did, Lumberyard, or maybe that's what they used to call it. I think it was based on the Cry engine, but it's kind of their own engine now. And that I believe is geared towards integration with AWS and like MMOs, like online games.
Yeah, because they had that. They were New World, right? The MMO that came out, that was Amazon.
Yeah, that's right. Amazon game. That's right.
And I haven't heard anything about that game since it came out, but like they were really shilling for it. It was everywhere. I think it was even last year. In all the advertisements and everything, you just couldn't get away from it. So they were really trying to make it work, and I don't know if it has or not.
A couple of my buddies played it and they bounced right off of it. They didn't stay very long with it at all. And so anyway, Amazon to me has a strategy. They have a strategy. I believe that strategy is going to be like online games, MMOs. And I know some people really like the Anthem, what have you, but like, I don't think that's the way for Bioware to go. And by the way, Old Republic is great. I love Old Republic. I've played it for years. But to me, that's like an Bioware Austin niche thing. And like, I think it would be best if like Edmonton just focused on single player story driven RPGs. And I don't think if Amazon were to buy EA, if they had any plans for Bioware at all, I don't think single player story driven RPGs would be it.
I mean, and to be fair, I think that's what both of those teams want. Like, I think the people that are now working on SWTOR like doing that, and I think the people that are at Edmonton like doing the single player games.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we had like a whole other deal. This was this is just the opening.
This was the baby topic, I guess, for the episode.
Yeah. But hey, at least for once, our like 10-minute opening was actually relevant to like, what we're trying to do here, and not just us bitching about some new pop culture bullshit.
I mean, we could talk about that new Elton John Britney Spears song. That shit is fire,
I
son.
have not actually heard it, but I heard it was balls. So the fact that you immediately said it
Who?
was fire was
What
surprising to me.
dweebs are you talking to? They don't know music.
Apparently, I don't. I have not heard it. I will say that. I just knew it happened and it dropped, and Britney Spears is out there posting nudes and Sailor Moon toys, and I'm like, you know what? God bless her.
Britney, notwithstanding, like Britney is almost like Kanye. You kind of have to put the entity of the personality to the side.
Here's the thing. Kanye is just like the bad kind of crazy. Britney Spears is like the I feel bad for you, but you're nice kind of crazy.
She's chaotic good,
Yeah.
chaotic
Yeah.
neutral. What's Kanye then? He's not chaotic evil.
Is he Jordan?
I think like because to me chaotic. Well, I don't know. Is he chaotic evil? I'd put him as like neutral, if anything.
He's leading to the evil, I think.
And that Elton John Britney Spears song is real. I look. I'm not even the world's biggest Elton John fan, but like it's fucking Elton John, right? Like he's a part of pop culture indelibly,
Yeah.
and I love this trend of like the Cold Heart that Dua Lipa. It's like a remix of several Elton John songs with Dua Lipa. Fucking fire, brilliant, phenomenal. One of my favorite songs from earlier this year.
Apparently, I've been living under a rock because I didn't even know he did anything with Dua Lipa.
He did and he didn't. He didn't sing anything new. It's literally just a remix of 4 Elton John songs. At least I think he didn't sing anything new. I think it's all sampled from like the original tracks, and then Dua Lipa is singing some lyrics from his song, and I believe some new lyrics, and now I think they're kind of trying to recapture that with this Britney Spears, because the Britney Spears song, it's really just Tiny Dancer, like sort of remixed with some Britney in it.
Does he need money? Why does he suddenly just popped in the pop scene? Does he like did he get hurt during COVID? Like what's
I don't know. I don't think he needs money, but I think somebody had the idea, and I think maybe he's not having to actually do anything, and yet he's on the charts again, and so why not?
Well, I guess why not? Trying to get the TikTok kids into singing Tiny Dancer.
It's brilliant. It's fantastic. I love this trend. All right, anyway, Dragon Age, right?
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking back and forth about top. I know we have some outstanding things. I'm still trying to finish Mass Effect Andromeda, which I stalled hard on again, but
it happens.
It happens. Anyway, but so the topic we're going to do today that we both thought was kind of interesting is just how specifically how technology and magic is handled in today we're going to talk about Dragon Age. We will do Mass Effect 2. But sorry, were we just doing the tech today or are we doing both?
I think we wanted to do how magic is in Dragon Age, but then you had a really good like twist on that, which is we were going to do magic in Dragon Age and tech in Mass Effect, but then you said like, well, what about what is effectively like magic in Mass Effect and what is technology in Dragon Age? So I guess today we'll do magic in Dragon Age plus tech. I feel like there's going to be more on the magic side, but both.
Yeah, well, let's actually just start with tech because we'll have a lot to talk about magic, and I actually kind of think the tech's more interesting, but whatever. So, technology in Dragon Age. So, it really boils down to shine on the Qunari and the dwarves. The dwarves have basically they call it like light steam power. It's not like as full blown steampunk yet, but I mean, at least when they were so apparently there's a 10-year jump between Dragon Age 4 and everything else that we have in the media. So, I mean, that 10 years, maybe some more steampunky things happen with the dwarves. We don't actually know. But we also know they have clockwork. There is actually clockwork shorn in Orlais. I think it's supposed to also be Dwarven clockwork. I'm not quite sure. But like clocks are at least common enough in more richer countries. Like you never see one in Ferelden, but there's like everywhere in Orlais. So that's kind of where we're sitting at. Now, what type of Steam stuff do they do? It's not really described hard. Like there's no trains been described yet or anything. It really is the little blurb you have in like some of the codex entries is light steam power. It's pretty It's pretty basic. And quite frankly, I'm not quite sure what even that means. I know Bronca is said to have developed a smokeless coal, and I think that's actually like a real thing. Maybe I'm not quite sure, but like the coal is used for steam power, blah blah blah, and then like forages and stuff like that. And then there's the Canary, and the Canary interesting because they have gunpowder, and that's where a lot of their stuff comes in. So like we can actually see it is totally within the realm of possibilities. We see Canary guns. We do know they have cannons and like on their ships, and that's why their dreadnoughts are so scary because they have like these really advanced cannons. Um, other places do sort of have like a explodey thing going on, but but it's like magic based. It's something with lyrium. Gunpowder is very unique to the Canary lands, if you will, and that's why, and they call it Sarcamic, and that's why I think it's Sarcamic, right? I'm blanking, but I know Sarcamic's the poison.
Poison, yeah.
What's the? It's like, is it Gatlock? It's Gatlock
I think it's
powder.
Gatlock. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. It's been a hot minute. But the Gatlock powder, that's why the one dwarven guy wanted to capture it because it is gunpowder. It is extremely useful. It could do a lot of cool things.
In Dragon Age 2 with the
Yes.
Airshock. That
Yes.
quest, yeah.
And that's kind of where the Canary are sitting. And somewhere in the middle, hopefully, the humans can get their shit together. Most of the human technology is really based on magic, and that kind of maybe leads more into the magic side of things. Um, but there is like sometimes this weird magic but has a technology feel to it. Like think of they were basically robots at the very end of Dragon Age 2 that Meredith summoned. It was just metal statue with magic. How different is that from a robot? I am not sure.
Sure.
It is described that magic to like make sure the spell goes right, there is mathematics behind it. Like
Huh.
and there is like a when you play the quest for getting the mages and you meet Felix, which is a friend of Dorian's. Felix isn't really a good mage, but he's really good at magical theory, which is a lot of mathematic based and stuff. And you even see the Canary studying some of that in Trespasser DLC. So how much of that is technology then? You know? And then when we saw I think this was one of the more recent trailers, but it kind of looked like they might have had some like neon light situation going on in Tevinter, but obviously it's going to be magic based because Tevinter is very hard on the magic. And like there in one of the comics, there was a like it was like an opera laser light show, obviously done with magic, but it looked very technology like. So I think in Tevinter they're going to really try to aim for this. The Canary have the gunpowder, the Doors have the steam, and the humans have like this, and maybe the elves too, because a lot of the human stuff was taken from the elves. But it's like this magic tech, and I
I
feel
was
like
gonna say
that's
the humans have like EDM light shows.
yeah, I mean, kind of, yeah, like this ostentatious uh, dance. Almost like a lot of people even said that the like little trailer that we got out of it wasn't last year's Game Awards. It was like the year before last Game Awards, where it had like a very split second into Winter, and it kind of looks cyberpunky a little bit because you're in like a city street. There's like those neon light situations,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of stuff. So like I feel like and I don't know, but I feel like the humans are gonna kind of try it. Like they might use some of the dwarven stuff, but like they're kind of avoiding tech. And if the magic ever goes away, they're going to be fucked. Whereas the dwarves and the Canary are like suckers, and they're pretty good without it. Um, so yeah, as far as like technology that isn't magic that the humans have, I'm really trying to struggle. Like there's some I don't it's also like how do you define technology? Like is building architecture, like in the science of architecture, is that is that technology? Cuz it kind of can be like with some of the stuff that you really have to figure out. But
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, the thing that was actually coming to mind for me was who has the best fleets, and that's the Cunari, right? As far as
yeah.
ships.
Yeah. Now technically Antiva, but they're all pirates and they kind of don't really belong. to them. They're just kind of their own
Bunch of stolen
shit.
Kunari ships.
Honestly, some of them. So like, yeah, no, the best fleet right now, the pretty much the best army goes to the Kunari, and the only reason they're being fought off is because the Teventers have the magic. So I think like a big theme in Dragon Age could potentially be magic versus technology. Um, hmm?
That would be amazing, actually. Like if that fully played out, because then what follows naturally for me from naval superiority is air superiority, and thus far nobody's out there
Yeah,
flying unless they're doing magic and or dragon flying, right?
or yeah, unless the Griffins come back, which theoretically they are supposed to come back, and that then the Wardens would
Oh,
have the air superiority. To my
that
knowledge,
would
there are
that
no
that would
planes.
be epic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I actually, yeah, I would imagine that the Canary are probably closest to flight because the dwarves don't want to even go near that. That is way out of their way out of their league. So yeah, it would definitely be the Canary, and I can't imagine why they wouldn't try that. And they're really
I'm,
into like science and stuff, so I could totally see them doing that.
yeah, I mean, we were going to talk at some point. I don't want to jump ahead about things that potentially go too far, but like if the wardens have air superiority and the Kunari are like trying to respond to that by like building a flying machine of some sort, like that's only like a couple steps removed from take that piece of it, combine it with their navy, and like do like aircraft carriers. I mean,
I
I'm getting
mean,
too
yeah.
tactical with it, but like they can have both, right? Like try and use their ships as the launching point for their sort of pseudo planes.
Yeah, so here this kind of leads into a thing that I want to talk about is how much technological advancement could Thedas go into before we start saying like, this doesn't really feel like Thedas anymore. So like, could we get like one of those like stereotypical in the steampunk settings airships where it has like a balloon on it and it's like this, it's like a pirate ship with the balloon attached to it and it's just flying through the air? Could we get one of those things? I imagine that's a Canary thing. And like, yeah, I kind of think that would be baller.
I kind of like. I was about to say I kind of like airships.
Yeah, I kind of
So
do too. They're kind of like dorky, and when you really think about it, it makes no sense. Like I love Treasure Planet. Treasure Planet was a great. Did you ever see that movie?
classic, absolutely,
Classic.
yeah,
It was like space airships. It was great. I
yeah.
would love that. Now Treasure Planet doesn't quite work with Thedas, but yeah, just like I really can't think of a piece of media where like it like the stereotypical airship that you see in like smaller works online. What's like Oh, you know what? I think they had one on, the 3rd Mummy movie.
Yes, you might be right.
I think they did like, no, it's not a good movie, or maybe it was the 2nd Mummy movie, I can't remember.
But I agree. Like aesthetically, whatever, maybe it's well, well covered territory, but like I don't care. I think that could be iconic looking if that was, involved in some type of battle somewhere.
Yeah, or even, like,
I
like, we could ride on it around Thedas. That'd be kinda
Oh,
cool.
fuck yeah, that would be amazing. What if
Like
that was like the camp? What if that was like the party base?
ooh. Ooh, that would be fun, and like, "Hey, can't get us up here, bitches. See
Yeah, like
ya."
it's the reason why you're always safe and you can retool, rest there, and then obviously like fast travel to wherever you're gonna go.
That would be very cool. I don't know how that would work in many different ways, but that would be real sweet. Now there
Um,
are this is more on the magic side. There is something sort of like that with the elves where they have the Aravels and like they're supposed to like using magic have these floating land ships and they don't go super high up. I think it's supposed to like well you got a car there that is
oh, this is the I was really hoping that wasn't gonna pick up, but it's the return of that fucking car, man. I think my microphone is fixed now, but now this fucking asshat with his goddamn loud car is gonna be the new pet peeve of everyone.
do you know his name? Like can we name the car ass hat?
No, I don't know his name. I've never seen the guy, but we should come up with a name for him. Audience, come up with a name for
The comments below. What's this our new guest speaker's name?
him.
Oh god. Anyway, but yeah, the Aravels, I think they go as high as like kind of like above the average tree line and they're supposed to look like they're sailing on the tree line. We've never seen that happen, and like it doesn't actually work like that in the lore for the most part. Um, that's just like the legend it's supposed to has. And I
Hmm.
imagine if we go to like the ancient elves, I actually think there was a concept piece where it looked like it had like flying ships. Oh, and then actually, yeah, there no, okay, there was in the Descent DLC, there was like a dwarf that was said to get like lost in the deep roads and then came back and was like really loopy and like starving. And one of the stories that this dwarven woman told is that she saw like floating ships in the deep. So like I would imagine if that was supposed to be real and not like a it's actually supposed to, like, sometimes the devil do this where like they'll throw in a reference to some sort of other piece of media. For that particular reference, I don't know if it is a reference or not, or if it is actually like a lore thing that will come back. I imagine that's more like an elven thing that was in the deep because we've already seen that happening. But yeah, so I guess the dwarves might have some flying stuff too, maybe? Question mark.
Yeah, and I feel like we've done a good job of defining a thing that's not gone too far. Because I think airship is. I'm game for airship.
Yeah, I think we're game for airship. I would also, I wouldn't mind trains somewhat.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like if it was like underground trains, like the dwarves, like I could totally see if the Darkspawn never happened, the logical progression of the deep roads would then just become the subway, basically. Like, why not?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like, because like, how extensive are we talking about? Are we talking about like a thing that the dwarves use? Or are we talking like a Thedas interstate system underground?
No, not like that. I'm thinking like if the doors like this probably isn't going to happen in the next game, but like I'm thinking like um maybe if the darkspawn is defeated and the dwarves can really reclaim a lot of their homeland, like in between like major tides, I could see like at the very least just like because there's going to be a lot of like blight left in the deep roads, even if the darkspawn are defeated, and they don't really want to touch it, so they just lay down rail work. And if you want to get to one place to the other, you can do so safely, but just zipping by it. So like that makes sense to me, and it's totally within the realm of their possibility. They have coal. They're getting on steam power. Like I think they could do it if someone just thought about it.
I'm 50-50 on that. Like, there's a version of that where I would think it makes total sense.
Uh
Like,
huh.
if it's a train where like they have like a nice train car and like people sip tea and there's like food service on the train, I'm like, that's going too far. But if it's like a piece of wood with some wheels and two dwarves pushing a seesaw to make it go, I'm like, all right, I'll allow it. I don't know the fucking terms for these. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
The
I
one where you
get
have
you.
to move the lever.
Michael's a bit of a train guy, and he's actually in the room. Hey, Michael. Michael, I have a train. He's shaking his head like, no, I don't want to be a part of it. Now come here. In trains, there's like that one thing where like two guys sit on it and it's like a seesaw. What's that called? Oh, he doesn't know. Okay. Thanks for the help. I love you.
all because I wanted to say something stupid on purpose, like push a seesaw.
I just wanted to bother him. That's fine.
Uh, Kids, sometimes it's fun when you don't know exactly what something's called. Just lean into it. Just say it wrong more on purpose.
And sometimes it's fun just to bother your significant other.
That's true. It is.
That's like the peak relationship is being able to just annoy the other person.
Oh my god, the extent to which my girlfriend and I annoy each other on purpose is endless.
That's relationships.
It's true love, honestly.
Yep.
Uh,
All
okay,
right.
so trains, I think, yeah, maybe there's something there, but like, what's one that's where do we know it's gone too far? Like electricity, right? Like if people are flipping light switches, it's gone too far.
Yeah, I think light switches is too far because then we start getting a little bit. Now, here's the thing. Then what if it's not really a light switch? It's not electric, but it is magical powered. We have magical light bulbs. How do you feel about that? Because that's basically what these neon lights or are magical light bulbs. And I kind of okay, with Tevinter, I can sort of see it, but I think it is like really on that line of like thing that looks like technology, but it's kind of magic. And I think any further and like maybe I don't know what that further would be. I'm sure like there is that point of like, okay, that feels a little out of character for the world.
Yeah, that's a great question. Here's oddly what comes to mind to me.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've liked the most about the Dragon Age franchise and series from the onset, and that they've done a pretty good job of maintaining throughout, or even heightening, is the idea that magic is dangerous.
Yeah.
In
And
Elder
hard to do.
Scrolls, exactly, dangerous and hard to do. And stuff like Elder Scrolls, it's like, yeah, magic is shown to be dangerous, but it's also ubiquitous. Like, it seems like anyone can learn to cast a fireball or something like that. But
Yeah.
in Dragon Age, they've done a pretty good job of being like, look, magic and people who can wield magic could be a boon and a benefit, but they present such a danger that we have this major societal divide with like control via Templars versus mages being more free and that sort of things, chancery circles, etc. It's like, if that is going to hold true and not ring false, maybe magic can't become so ubiquitous as to like everyone has a magic light bulb in their house.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, someone who's like the Archon having like a weird magic light bulb, sure. But then
Makes
like,
sense.
yeah, Joe Joe McSlave Man having something that would be a bit weird.
Right. And a bunch of people who, if they knew it was magic, they would want less to do with it anyway. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
um,
trying to think of like what's like a modern convenient. Oh, here's one. Okay. I think plumbing goes a bit too far in some places.
oh, like if they can flush a toilet, it's not Dragon Age anymore.
Yeah, that feels a little too modern for me for some reason. And I don't know why, because I know like plumbing is actually a lot older than we think it is. But like if I can just go into Teventer and like I can turn on a sink like hot and cold water, that feels a little too modern for me. Like if it's just water, like only water's coming out, I feel like that. But if I can change, if I can choose the temperature, I'm a little suspicious. I don't know why that feels too modern for me. Maybe that's just my ignorance on plumbing.
No, I think that on the gut check test, I'm with you on that. That for some reason that feels the same for me. Is it anything like if the Dragon Age setting was actually closer to Victorian era setting?
Hmm.
Is that pushing the line or is that past the line?
I'm trying to think of like what's some like go to Victorian things. Like they had the trains with the sipping tea that you weren't fans of.
I guess you're right, right? I think.
Yeah, so I think it might
Uh,
be past. Now, here's the thing. Now, could they have a spin-off that's like it's not even the Dragon Age anymore, it's a whole other age and it's a whole different thing? Yeah, and I'd probably love the hell out of it. But
right, right,
sticking within the technical terms of the Dragon Age, where it is within this time period, if we suddenly get that sort of stuff in 10 years from where we were, I think that would feel a little weird. Now, granted, Tevinter is supposed to be much more advanced than the rest of Thedas, and everywhere in Thedas, we've mostly been in Ferelden, which is supposed to be the backwaters. But Orlais isn't, and Orlais doesn't have that type of stuff. So like
right,
that now it does have like it obviously has bathtubs, and it even has like heated teapots because there's like enchantments on the teapots to keep your water warm. And probably you could do the same thing with bathtub, but someone still has to draw the bathtub. So I feel
right.
like in Tevinter it would have to sort of be the same way. You'd have to draw the bathtub. I can't just be like, oh, check out this motherfucker, and I turn a knob and the water comes out. Um, Now there was in the novel, actually the first novel that was in the Dragon Age series, Stolen Throne, there was a magical pot of water that when it was like spilled in the deep roads, and it just like it had created a river because it just created water. That didn't feel weird. But I guess you could technically, if you were really good, have that enchantment on a tub.
Yeah,
And it,
I agree with that. That's just exactly the same as like the light bulb analogy. Like if there's some
yeah,
really powerful mage who does that stuff, no problem with it whatsoever. If it's in
yeah,
every home, I'm like, nah, that feels weird.
yeah. What I think cars would feel weird, like any
Cars,
car.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like engines and gasoline. Well, engines that are like gas powered would feel weird. What else? What else would feel? I'm like looking around the room. Obviously, like a computer, but that's like a duh.
Well, there's okay, so like this is an example from another series, but
Mhm.
like in Witcher, they have what's it called, megascopes, where they can like basically, whatever Yennefer's basically doing video calls with people. I
Okay.
always thought that was like, I get it, it's a different series, and in their world of magic, that's okay, but like I'm trying to think, right? Like, there's never been a goddamn magic video call in Dragon Age, right?
No. So far the closest they've had was whatever Dorian has with the sending crystal that he hands the Inquisitor, which we have not actually seen used. It is just described as used. And then there was the movie Dawn of the Seeker, where she has this crystal that basically sends text messages. Um, and that's about it. But yeah, so I guess like the sending crystal, which we don't even know how it works. He does describe that you can hear a voice. We don't know if you can like be a video call though. Which on that I think phones would feel weird. That's kind of
Yeah,
going on the electricity thing though.
yeah, or even if it was like magic, kind of like what you're. I mean, the ones you're describing, I would say again, if it's very limited use
Mhm.
and it's someone who went through a lot of trouble to find this very rare artifact that can send like magic text messages, then it's like always like, okay, yeah, then maybe that's kind of cool that it's this rare thing, but maybe it's more the idea of ubiquity for any of this stuff. Like if it's common,
Mhm.
people are doing their magic video calls the way people do FaceTime. It's like, yeah, that would feel weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Mm.
other than conveniences, do you think there's ways for the magic to go too far? Um,
Yeah, I think like really if it magic going too far in the Dragon Age universe, I think is if they forget the consequences of magic, which is totally like easy to do. Like if they sat there like, okay, we want all of our companions to I don't even know what, like have magical walkie-talkies and NPCs can talk to us on the magical walkie-talkies. Like that would kind of feel weird because like why does everyone have this new cell phone crystal? Why why is that a thing now? So like yeah, I think if like a lot of people just have a magic item and that's really common and like there's not a lot of people that feel weird about it, then that would I think go too far. Like I don't think
mhm.
Ferelden's ever going to be really into any magical stuff. It, Ferelden's kind of like the anti-vaxxers in as regard to magic in this
The first
part.
time that comparison has ever been made in Dragon Age, but there you have it.
I mean, yeah, and like to be fair, it kind of breaks a bit, but like magic is very dangerous. So I think that if Dragon Age ever forgets how dangerous magic is, and not really so much the setting as it is the writers, then I think that would break it. Like it needs to be hard. It needs to have consequences, and I think the only way they can get away with showing magic that is so like it's just everywhere and has no consequences is going to be when we flash back to the Elven era. And I think that's
Hmm.
it. Because the
Yeah.
Elven era is supposed to be like legendary and like for like 8,000 years had all this incredible magic and like people who were immortal and like had slavery and were not afraid to just kill a billion people to do like a magic thing. Then like, okay, yeah, you could kind of do what you want with that. No, I okay, on a thing that actually happened in this series that I think broke it a bit is the time magic. I don't like the time travel plotline.
I was right about to go there. I was right about to ask about that. Did they have they already gone too far with the time magic?
I think they did because that is gonna be really hard to forget. Now they tried their best. Now, okay, as a side note, I actually really like the quest. It was really fun to play. I
Yep.
enjoy it as a player, as someone like that also likes the lore. I go, "Oh god, what have you done?" Um, because time travel in anything is just so messy. Like, unless you're writing a story about time travel, like Back to the Future, and you just say, "Ah, fuck it, we're just here along for the ride," and you have to deal with it. Like, things get messy fast. And I know they try to explain it where like, well, we can only travel so far back because of the when the breach was open, so that's why we can only go back to whatever and go forward this whatever. Um, but like, okay, then that implies that the ancient Elven area could have also done something similar because there was no veil, so they could have time traveled the whole way. suddenly, how are you going to explain anything that Solus did if he was trying to defeat gods who could probably have the means to do the time travel?
Mm-hmm.
Unless what's his face was the first one to invent time travel, which I think Solus might even have a like a comment saying, "Oh, I've never seen this bullshit before." Then like how is like just some guy able to figure this out suddenly? Like what happened in between the ancient elven area that had like incredible feats and like yeah, who's more powerful? Some like ancient being versus a guy with a sick kid. Apparently it's the guy with a sick kid and there was no ancient powerful being with a sick kid that could do time travel. So I think that it raises more questions than anything. And I would imagine that time travel is never mentioned again in the series, and it was just like a fun, like, okay, that was real fun. We had a lot of good times, and we're just gonna shh, shh, don't mention it again. Shh, 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 it goes away. And that's what I'm imagining kind of happens in the future. If time travel ever comes up again in the series, they're very brave to do so.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's almost uncanny because I feel almost exactly what you just described.
Hmm. Hmm.
In particular, the idea that this is a one and done. I also really liked the quest. I really liked the moment. It's one of the most memorable quests in any Bioware game ever. Like I remember
Yeah,
just being floored that they were doing it, and in the moment, I was having like I think the same reaction you describe of like this is amazing, but also immediately the implications were like, holy crap, what a can of worms they just opened. Like if you can do this, like that casts so many potential implications that
yeah,
I think it would be coolest if it was this one time thing that can never be repeated, and maybe even I don't know, like maybe this is stretching incredulity or have people having to suspend disbelief too much, but like even Alexius kind of doesn't know how he did it, almost like it
hmm,
was a fluke kind of a thing. Um, because depending, you can have him executed, you can do a bunch of different his fate, like he can still be alive,
yeah,
and that to me is it's like in Dragon Age, Dreadwolf is like, can you pull him out of a cell somewhere? Can someone pull him out of a cell and be like, do this again? I think it would be actually kind of cool if there's a scene where he admits, like, look, I was trying to do it, but I could never succeed. And then one time it just did. I'm not sure what happened.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's weird, right? Like time magic kind of is one of those things that goes too far, but it's like with an asterisk that says it's actually kind of cool if you only ever do it once. If they ever do it again, if there's a second occurrence of time magic, I can probably like see myself crossing my arms, going like,
I
not
I
gonna.
I think there at least needs to be some budget for the rule of cool to adopt a tabletop term. Where sometimes like this is a game. We're having fun. This isn't like a real setting where things make sense. There's a whole bunch of plot holes even within just magic usage. If I'm having a good time and it's really fucking cool, I'm not going to complain that much. And I think that's why that quest in Hush Whispers works is because it succeeds in the rule of cool. And I think that if it was a bad quest, we would easily say this is the worst quest in the game, in the series, because not only
Right.
is it a bad quest, it also breaks the lore tremendously.
I
and and
guess you're
I
right. Yeah.
and I feel like I feel like you could use time magic again as long as it keeps along with the rule of cool, but and it be fine. Like, there was I know it's a fan fiction, so whatever, but probably one of the better fan fictions. Now, granted, I have not read fan fiction in like a hot minute, so I'm missing a bunch. But probably one of the better fan fictions for the Dragon Age series is one called, I think it's Looking Glass. It's been a while, and I remember who wrote it was a person named Faye Knights. And the main story hook was that was time magic. It was like, okay, Solus took the time magic, or no, he didn't take it. I think he already had it. He was already going to use it, and like the whole plot of getting the orb back was that he could travel himself back in time to when he was a young man to fix all of his mistakes, and that was the blight. Because what the blight was essentially he had already tried to in the past make himself go back in time and fix his mistakes or something, and the blight was the essentially the folded over um time loop or whatever that had come back to like also like fight it. Like, no, you can't do this. We are thousands of souls that died. And like that was a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so not that Dragon Age is going to go there because like it obviously isn't, but like if they did something like that where like there is a severe consequence to a time magic situation, that would be really cool.
Yeah,
So
I guess like when you said that rule of cool, and when I think back to my reaction of that quest, I guess if they did it a second time,
that's fair. It would be like, oh, you've already done this.
well, no, I was actually say like
Oh.
I was describing that my reaction would be sort of like crossing my arms, and then after you started talking about rule of cool, I think I have to correct myself. It's like no, it wouldn't be like me crossing my arms going I don't like this. It would be exactly like my reaction to the first time magic multiplied in both directions. Like if it's a cool mission, I would be having that same reaction of going like, holy crap, I can't believe they're doing this again. This is so cool. And then other me would be kind of going that, ooh, man, how are they going to deal with this again? Kind of like a polarity. Like I'll like it even more and dislike it even more at the same time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But I can't argue with, the reaction that we all had the first time that happened. It was really fucking cool. If
Yeah.
they can pull off something like that again, they probably will? Question mark.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like other magic things that like would definitely just break it. Ooh. I feel like so something that has been like talked about in fan circles is Solus going to try to take down the veil? What if he could just take down a portion of the veil and that's where the elves live? Um and I think that while that's totally plausible, you would need to put a lot of work into doing that. You know, like that's going to be a big or magical ordeal. um so I feel like if he does that and it's too simple, like he just goes, "Oh, I never thought of that. Why don't I just do that right now?" And then he does it and like maybe he's like, "Oh, I need to use 2 lyrium potions cuz it's really hard to do, guys." And then like this giant thing happens and I'm be like, "Oh, okay, that doesn't work for me." But that kind of just more like breaks the it's hard rule. It's not really on that magic. What's like a very specific magical thing that just does not feel right in Thedas? Hmm.
Bringing people back from the dead easily.
Yeah.
Resurrection spells being like, let me just pull a scroll out and do a resurrection spell.
Yeah. Now there is it was not quite raising the dead, but there is like a spell used in the comics where like after a certain amount of time, like a short time period before like after a person has died, you can call back the spirit and be like, "Yo boy, what the fuck happened to you?" And he goes, "I don't fucking know." And then he's gone. And then the Navarans also have a thing where it's not really bringing back the dead, but you call a spirit of the Fae to come back into the body, and it's not really that person. It's
Hmm.
somebody else, like it's something else, but it acts like the person, or it tries to be, it tries to act like that person. And I feel like that's different, but in the same vein, and different enough that I think it works. But like, I don't know what your take on it is.
That to me sounds, like it's in the realm of necromancy.
Yeah, but
And I
not
think that's
bringing back,
okay.
the dead.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of like, and even like quite honestly, even like from a gameplay standpoint, like they've never done permadeath really, like as a result of like battles and stuff. But,
Yeah,
you know, a companion dies, but it's like literally like an item in the inventory called a resurrection spell, and it's like, not anymore.
Sucka.
Um,
Yeah, that's one of those
but
games.
then again, somehow Liliana's back. So
Yeah, you got well. That also brings into like there's the lyrium and the memory thing, and then also like is that Liliana actually Liliana, but someone just pretending to be Liliana, and like there's that whole
it's one of
situation.
the coolest theories in the series, in my
Yeah, and
opinion.
like Cole kind of falls into that too. Like he's not Cole. Cole is not Cole. There was a guy named
Right.
Cole, and he fucking died, and it was sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, this is the person named Cole just looked at a guy named Cole and was like, yeah, I could do that, and decided to be him. And that's kind of just what that was. So like I feel like there's a lot of identity theft in Thedas suddenly.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, just bringing back the dead and they are legitimately who they are. That could be funky. But I feel like there's a lot of exceptions to that because then you got stuff like Corypheus, and he's basically a lich. When you think about it.
I'll allow it because of the voice.
But it also plays into the blight, which like is that sort of thing. What about like the concept of a like okay, let's pretend now I'm trying to remember what a fucking lich is. It's basically like you have a if we have phylacteries, but it's a whole different thing. So you probably couldn't do liches. You'd have to be something else.
Yeah, like even that would be like, well, that's a lich, right? So like that's like a monster or something. Like that's I would still feel okay with that. But if like I don't know, if like a character that everybody like, if fucking Duncan just came back from the dead, like Warden Jesus, all of a sudden, it'd be like, whoa,
Yeah, that
you
would be a
can't
little
just
weird.
you can't just bring people back in that way. That gets into that sort of loopy. I don't know. It's too fantasy to be like now they're back from the dead. You know.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Um, I think God, those are probably the major ones. Unless there's teleportation that doesn't bother me as much. Like magic teleportation is again, as long as it's not every person has a magic teleporter in their house, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I actually don't hate that either, to be honest.
You mean teleportation
Yeah.
generally, or everyone has one?
No, sorry. In general, if everyone had one, yeah, that would be a little bit much. Because it's sort of not really. Alluvians are more portals. They're not really teleportation.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like blanking on any like big magical thing. I feel like time magic is just such a good example of when magic goes too far, just because it breaks story things. Like it's so
Right.
easy to break your world with time magic.
I agree. Hey, dragons, or does that just are dragons a magic, or is it just an animal?
Um. Well, one I think actually depends on the world it is because some dragons are inherently magical creatures. I think in Dragon Age it's just animal though. They're
Right?
pretty solidly an animal.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about dragons in fantasy is you nailed it, right? It's like sometimes they're meant to be godly, sometimes they're meant to be like a creature but immortal, sometimes they're just like a big wyvern basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess in Dragon Age they're fucking cool though in Dragon Age. Like in Inquisition. But before Inquisition, they were fine. It's like a big enemy. It was hard, but like I felt like the
Yeah.
dragons in Inquisition, like now they're shooting lightning, bitch. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, so they're more maybe they have like a magical component to it because they can shoot fire and lightning and stuff like that. But there are animals in Dragon Age that can do magic stuff. Looking at you, Gas, the worst enemy. Oh, actually, there it is. The worst enemy, Gas. Gas. I think that's the name. Hold on, let me Google that real quick. They're those like little monkey dudes in yeah, they are called Gas. They're like these weird Gremlin little guys in the Dragon Age 2 DLC with Talus, Mark of the Assassin, and they only appear there. And they're the worst enemy in Dragon Age because they can actually use magic spells, which in the lore is supposed to be reserved for humans and like people that can think. And so this implies that there's a whole other race of beings in Thedas called the Gas that are just kind of fucking there and no one ever talks about them.
That I legit when you said what it was from, I was like, oh, that's why I legit did not remember that. And the gat now I've looked it up and I'm like, that is really interesting because at least on the wiki it says that their class is a warrior. I don't know what significance that actually has.
Well, yeah, they have like little guys with like swords and spears, and they have armor. and stuff like that. So like there implies like it has some sort of culture, and like there is like I don't know what you want to call it, like a gas shaman or whatever that casts spells on you, that has a staff and will do a thing, and that's so weird.
Yeah, no, it really is.
like like if we ever find out what the Fex is, which is supposed to be another race in like the Saharan area, I wouldn't be surprised if it's these little fuckers. Because like what is this? It's like they're like little gremlins, and like it's never touched upon again. They were just like I think the gas tried to do the rule of cool and it failed because there was too much confusion and not it wasn't cool enough. And they not even part of the quest. It just kind of like you go there and these things pop out and you're like, what the hell is this? And I think there might be a throwaway dialogue of, oh, it's a gas. These things are common. I'm like, are they?
They're basically goblins, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right? Because you said they have a shaman, like that's what does the casting, but otherwise they're like it's basically goblins.
Yeah. That's what these are. They're just strange little guys, and I'm not a fan of them. So yeah, that breaks. I feel like animals using magic, which is what they're trying to portray these things as. I think that breaks the lore. So like
I agree.
if suddenly there's a like not even a possessed cat, but a cat that just like flies for no goddamn reason, it just figured it out somehow. That would be a
Right.
little weird for me.
Flying cat.
Yeah.
That's the air superiority. Bunch of Tevinter dudes riding in on cats.
Just giant cats.
No. Regular sized
Oh,
cats.
Like
just a full sized man, like a guy riding a miniature motorcycle, like that kind of thing.
I
was imagining
they like tie the cat like one cat per foot or something. Or like a cat roller skating.
Yeah, no. Well, there's different styles of riding. Some airborne warriors go for the one cat per foot stance. Others kind of ride on the back of the cat. Some go all fours, Caitie. So you kind of get into a prone position. There's a cat on each arm and on each leg. That's more the recon mode.
That's like your Iron Man with cats on.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Can you imagine the suit up sequence? It's like they zoom in on him like strapping some screaming cat to his forearm.
It's like clawing at him, so like it's unpleasant for everybody involved.
He's just like tying it in. Come on, kitty, let's go get him. Those backwater Ferelden bastards and their dogs.
I haven't read the Battle Cat series, so I'm imagining this is just what that is.
Well, folks, we found it. This is the magic and the technology that can go too far in Dragon Age. Flying cats.
Do you remember, like, it was this was in that era of, like, Charizard in Shepherd's clothing or whatever, but, where they were trying to also take, like, silly scientific quote-unquote things and make memes out of them, and there was one, I say scientific loosely, by the way, where it's, like, how to make infinite floating thing, and it was, like, a cat always lands on its feet and a toast always lands butter side up, so you'd, like, tape the two together and it, like, perpetual. That's why I'm imagining this is working in Thedas. Is like it just toasts on cat and they're flying around.
Toasty cats.
Is this the stupidest thing we've ever said? It might be.
It's got to be. Somebody can review the tape, but it's probably up there.
It's up there. Yeah. It's up there. Yeah.
All right, Caitie, where can the folks find? I think that's it, right? Is that
we're ending toast cats? Good night, everybody. Yeah, well, I think yeah, we talked about technology that I think goes too far in the Dragon Age series, and we're talking about magic that goes too far, and then kind of where we are. I guess we didn't really talk about where we are in the magic, but I think you kind of, at least one of those, you played the series, you kind of know where magic is, where like technology isn't really mentioned much. Like I feel like when we do like tech in Mass Effect, we're not going to touch on it as much. It's like, yeah, there's space and robots and AI, but maybe we would. I don't know. What were we gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say the comparison for Mass Effect. I get. Well, we'll save that more for that episode. I guess in my head, I'm more interested in what Mass Effect decided to do versus what other sci-fi series have done. But that'll be for next time.
Yeah. Well, I guess to sort of steal that idea for Dragon Age real quick, like, is there another I mean, I'm sure it exists. I just don't know it. But is there like other major media or video game where magic is hard? And I immediately think of The Witcher, but is there another one?
Um, yeah, I mean, depends on, I mean, major, like in gaming or just anywhere?
I guess more gaming because that's what we do. I'm sure like anywhere there's like 1,000 other like book novels.
Yeah, like, exactly. I was gonna say like books and stuff,
Yeah.
and in games, I think typically, I guess, well, kind of a weird one, but Outward.
Outward.
Um, Outward's like a survival game. It's not super narrative based, and it's a whole thing where like you can't just pick a class that knows magic. You have to journey to a place that's really hard to get to, like literally up to a mountain, and like do a ritual, and you sacrifice some of your. I didn't play a ton of Outward, so forgive me for those people who have hundreds of hours in Outward, and I didn't do it because I wasn't interested in that. But I believe you have to give up a certain amount of your health or stamina in order to be able to hold magic.
Oh wow.
And the casting is like really hard. Like to cast magic in combat, like you really have to like set it up, and it's like concentration, right? Like you can't get hit, kind of a thing. But that's one where I enjoyed how they approached it from a gameplay standpoint. But I think that's rare. Like in games, most of the time, magic is just meant to be fun, cool, and a power fantasy, not
Yeah.
dangerous, comes with drawbacks. You really should be careful and consider whether or not you want to do this. Like most games don't know how to, I guess, maybe or they just choose not to. Not that they don't know how, but they choose not to go that route because maybe they think it's too much of a stifle on the fun factor.
Yeah, that actually kind of brings into question even the Dragon Age series because magic is supposed to be like have all these drawbacks and whatever, and like you don't actually see any of those when you play a mage in the game, or even your mage companions for the most part.
In particular, blood magic in 2.
That's true. Yeah, it just it like which I do love the animation for the blood mage Dragon Age 2. You just stab yourself in the gut.
It's really, it's a real 2011 mood, really.
I mean, you're right. It is.
It was that all the animations in that. Like, look, I love Dragon Age 2. I love all the folks that made Dragon Age 2, but dude, let's be honest, every time you go back to play Dragon Age 2 and you see the casting animations for the mage, like, don't you think of those dorky kids dancing under the overpass?
Oh my god. That's such a good yeah, I do now.
It's like the same energy, man. I just go, oh boy. But no, yeah, like I've number one, they should bring back blood magic. I'm not saying no blood magic in Dragon Age. They should bring it back from a gameplay standpoint, and I would just love it if there were story consequences for choosing that advanced class.
I do know the Dragon Age tabletop does try to address magic, and like it ends up being like now it's been a while since I read the rules, for forgive me if I just botched this, but there is like a rule where when you roll to do magic to see if it hits, if you get low enough, like you get a 1, maybe even a 2, I think it's just 1 though, you then have to roll if you get possessed or not.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and but the problem is that a lot of people don't like it because they're like, well, like when in Dragon Age, when you get possessed, you said yes. Someone there was a little whisper in your mind says, "Do you need help with that?" And you go, "Yeah, I do." And some people felt that that took away a person's agency of like, "Well, my character would never say yes to that, even when stressed." And so they there's actually a lot of I forget homebrew to go about not doing that. So I think even that is not quite the best outcome. Now there are other like it's you can roll for other bad effects. Like it's not always possessed. Possessed is the extreme. You can just be stunned. You can like you make a bad spell, you botched it. I think that's great. I think that's a fun thing to do. Now it is very frustrating for the mages because like you other games when you cast a spell, you just cast the spell. You don't really have fuck ups like that. At least I don't think you do in D&D. But
Well, so okay, I was actually going to mention something. As it sounds like wild magic,
yeah, it
uh,
is a lot like wild magic.
which isn't exactly the same thing. And I'm
Yeah.
no D&D expert. I encountered that in Baldur's Gate, which is a
Mhm.
video game based on D&D, obviously, where it's like I believe it's the the one character, there's a companion who is a wild mage, and depending on the role, I guess, you try to cast one spell and it will just cast something completely different,
Yeah.
like even a spell that they don't know. Which is that's I think that's cool. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, no, there is something sort of like that. I think where I don't think it's like you then randomize like what spells to cast. I think it's just like a fireball or something, like and it
Yeah, maybe.
explodes. But yeah, like I wouldn't necessarily mind that in a Dragon Age game itself. Like I think that would. The problem is like if you could probably have done it in Origins because it was way more like tactical and stuff like that. And I don't know if the gameplay works in a game like Inquisition. That I think would have been really hard to do because like the way the game was designed, I press number 2 or whatever, and I expect my character to shoot a lightning bolt, but instead she does some weird bullshit. Like that'd be like, okay, hold on, that's not what we're doing here. This is more of a fast paced action game and not like Origins where I have to sit down, I think about the battle, blah blah blah. I actually use tactical cam, that sort of thing.
What I would really like, kind of borrowing from that, the whatever the remastered or whatever they called it, of not remastered, maybe the expansion that Beamdog did, a Baldur's Gate 1,
Mm.
is like kind of localize it to a companion. Like if
Mm.
there was one companion in a future Dragon Age game that had this problem slash benefit where like sometimes when they cast it's overpowered, like it's got higher critical rate or just a higher overall base damage, but sometimes it does weird crap that like does AoE damage to the party or damages themselves or whatever. And you could fully choose to never bring that companion, or you could have a conversation with them where you encourage them to stop trying to use that overpowered version of spells. And so it's safer, or you could encourage them to do it so that they could be more powerful, but there's a risk to it. And who knows, maybe there's even a storyline to it where their personality becomes more chaotic if they indulge that versus
Uh-huh.
not. Like to me, that means it could be relatively localized to a companion, which may be good or bad depending on who you ask.
Now, real quick, I more for the audience than for you, but you are feel free to play along. Take a Dragon Age companion that already exists and put that power on them. Who are you thinking of? I'm immediately thinking of Meryl. I feel like Meryl would have been great with
Mm,
that because like she's already like she's trying out new magic that her base like she's trying to get into more like ancient elven magics and delving deeper into that. And like she made this like weird pact with a demon to do like the blood magic. I feel like she would have been the perfect candidate to be like, yeah, sometimes I just call upon that demon and he helps me do some strange bullshit and things just can happen. And like she's just like, oh, like, I don't know, just with her personality of like, oh no, I killed everyone. Oh dear. Like that just works for her. Like I feel like that like weird chaotic thing magic it just suits her perfectly. So if Meryl ever comes back, I want that to be her.
I yeah, I think I fully agree with you, and I agree with that as a pick too, and also like it would be good if there was a companion opposite to that one, like if Vivian and Meryl were ever in the same game, like someone who would probably like fucking leave if you didn't tell this person to cut it out.
I mean, yeah, that would honestly you said Vivian, but I think Vivian and maybe Win would be the perfect choice for those.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Win, I feel like would try to help Meryl more, but then like I feel like there would be that time of like, okay, no one's listening to me. Fuck this. Where Vivian's just like, all right, I'm gonna be back with Templars in 5. See ya.
Yeah, well, no, the wins perfect because like if you combine that with what I was saying earlier about encouraging the person to either indulge in that extra power or control it, like then win either sort of abandons the party, leaves in protest, or helps them, like mentors them to control it a little more.
Because Win, like her storyline, it Win's like storyline and origins is so it's like kind of interesting, but no one really gives a fuck about it. Where she's technically possessed by a spirit. Um, but like she gained like this weird power that no one could explain, but she was able to control it, and so she used it. And like there was also this like, should she use it because she could die versus thing that was sort of touched upon, but again, no one talks about because no one liked to win but me apparently. And yeah, like that sort of thing. So maybe like yeah, like she could let now granted she is canonically dead, so this would never happen. But like in this weird, bizarre world, perhaps a character like Gwen can say, like, well, like I had this weird power upgrade too, and this is how I dealt with it. Maybe I can help you out. You're not listening to me. Oh my god. Like, yeah, so some mentor like mage character. I'm trying to think of like the other mages. Morgan wouldn't give a shit. Anders wouldn't give a shit. Um, Solus would help, but mm, Dorian would be interested. Dorian would, I think, would be the type to like study what she's doing, but then also be like, that's some bullshit, huh? And then yeah, I think Vivian would be like, all right, you're doing some strange things. I'll be back with Templars. Um, I think I'm saying Vivian's a narc. I think that's what we're getting at here. Huh.
And everyone agreed.
Yeah.
Hey, I think I know we're we're a little over an hour, but did we miss one? Like, I just thought of what about golems?
Golems. Okay, what about golems?
Is that going like? Is that magic that's gone too far? Is it technology? What category does it fit into? Or is it like, nah, that doesn't go too far?
I would say so. That's magic, at least in the series, because it's supposed to be lyrium. In the so like okay, to make a golem, you take a person and you entomb them in rock, and you pour molten lyrium over their body, essentially killing them, but also locking in that like essence, that like movable spirit, if you will, that a person inside that you can then control and like tell to move. I don't think I want to say it doesn't break because it's been in the series the entire time. So I feel like you just naturally just include that in the world. But yeah, I feel like that doesn't break because it does lean more into like the magical. It's not a robot. It's I don't know. I feel like it doesn't break it. Do you feel like it does?
I guess I thought of that off the top of my head. Let me. Hmm. Well, no, because if what it's doing is killing them, right? Because you said they're dead, but like their spirit, something, whatever is trapped. Then I guess that doesn't, because back to my prior logic, it fits under the umbrella of necromancy in a way.
Mm. See, I'm thinking it might lean more into kind of what the Navarans do, where like that dwarf is dead. They are gone. Let's say Shale, because Shale's the perfect example here. I think Shale as a person is gone, but they're the lyrium that lives within the rock golem that is Shale took on the memories of the Shale that was basically melted alive inside of its core. You know?
Yeah,
So I feel like that's because if like because lyrium, its main properties is that it holds memories really well, and if it has all the memories of Shale tucked in there. Now, granted, Shale has forgotten a lot of it, but she does start to remember things when you jog it. So it is, I think it is in there somewhere. So like, I think that's one of the like it's basically coal when you get down to that. It's
yeah,
you know. Now maybe there is some sort of thing where like no, when you get all the lyrium in there, that's really the person because like maybe their soul got trapped inside like soul crystals in Skyrim. I
hmm
I guess I wouldn't mind that either because like the soul got trapped in something before it crossed through the veil to wherever. Where in Dragon Age they're pretty adamant, like yeah, once the soul crosses wherever the fuck it goes, it's gone. You don't know where it goes. See ya. And
right.
I think as long as that doesn't break, I think I'm okay with it. And I feel like with the explanation of well, lyrium traps the soul within the rock, I feel like that works for me.
I think it does too. Like, I just thought of it spontaneously. I thought, maybe a question, but I guess upon closer examination, it's really a good example of just how wild the magic can get, and still like it
Feel
doesn't
okay.
actually break anything. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's why it's harder to come up. We came up with some, at least I think so, some pretty solid tech that breaks the world, but magic's a bit harder. And I feel like the only one that really I think is like the worst offender they have already done in the series. So
right.
like and it kind of works. So I feel like with most magic things, if you give a good enough explanation, I'll sit there and go, "Yeah, okay. Fine. Just do it." So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, folks, if you think of anything, leave us comments, tweet us things, any we missed, any things that you think go too far, magic wise, tech wise, in Dragon Age.
mhm.
Leave a comment. Let us know.
Yes. And where can they leave those comments, Jordan? I'm making you go first this time.
I mean, they can try Twitter if I'm ever on there. If anyone tries to buy EA, I'll hop back on Twitter. Folks can find me at the Exalted March on YouTube and Twitter sometimes. Caitie, where can the folks find you?
They can find me as Gilderthon on YouTube and Twitter. Now I am actually going to be moving soon, so I'm going to be off the internet for a little bit. Woo!
Yay! Congrats!
Yay! You know what? I thought we've been doing this show for a while. I honestly don't know how many years, and we've been posting these videos for this very podcast we are doing for on Codex Addict for a while. We never plug Codex Addicts at the end, even though that's where the show lives, and I feel like that's a strange thing that we've been doing. Should we say like, oh, and please leave a comment over on Codex Addict where this YouTube video is?
Well, yeah, okay. So I guess because you're saying obviously the audio is always distributed on everywhere podcasts are found, etc.
Yeah, there might be someone who found us purely through podcast streaming sites and goes, oh, where you keep saying leave comments. Where the fuck do I leave comments? It's on Codex Added on YouTube. Where
that's true. I think numbers wise, it's still like
largely.
Largely people listen on YouTube, which is strange, but you are correct. It's maybe we should start putting it in the descriptions or something.
Maybe, I don't know. Granted, this is also a conversation we probably should have had like maybe 4 years ago. It's been a long time. It just now occurred to me as I sit here 4 years later.
Yeah, better late than never.
Yeah, I think we just kind of always assume that everyone comes from Codex Added.
Yes, but if you are listening on Spotify, look us up on YouTube under Codex Added, where occasionally we even occasionally Caitie streams things.
I'm trying to get you back into it, but at the moment I'm trying to get myself back into it, just because I'm moving and boxes and all that. But
I don't know. Does anyone want to watch me play Elite Dangerous? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, maybe I'm forcing people to watch me play Animal Crossing, so like play Elite, just have fun, and people like shooting the shit with you. So.
Yeah.
All right. With that, sure, I'll get out of here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.